The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Anjana Dudanguda, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. The President restricts foreign travel for government members as party gears up for presidential polls. Muslims will celebrate Ramadan today. The head of state affirms his commitment to empowering the people and fortifying the economy. World's first cinnamon museum unveiled in Sri Lanka. The first phase of first school term ends today. Foreign news: Russia and Kazakhstan evacuates over 100,000 people amid worst flooding in decades. Sports news: Carmen Mendes and Angela Matthews move up in ICC men's test player rankings. Local news in detail. Ahead of the presidential election, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed the government members to restrict foreign travel as much as possible because their presence is required to undertake political work. The United National Party, led by the President, is planning to ramp up political work in view of the election after the May Day rally. The party is planning to conduct the rally on a grand scale this year as a springboard for the launch of political work directly targeting the presidential elections. At the moment, the party is in process of conducting meetings across the country with professional groups. The President is planning to participate in the election representing a broad alliance where numerous parties and groups are slated to join. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has affirmed his commitment to empowering the people and fortifying the economy by ensuring access to education, land, housing and business opportunities. Stressing the importance of broadening economic participation, the head of state highlighted its role in fostering a resilient national economy. These remarks were made on Tuesday afternoon during his presence at the national event in Modara. As many as 294 units at Randiya Uyana housing complex were thus allocated to those displaced by the massive fire in Kajimawat in 2010. Muslims of Sri Lanka with the rest of the world celebrate the Ramadan festival today, as the Colombo Grand Mosque announced last evening that the new moon was sighted in several parts of the country. The decision was taken at a meeting attended by the President of this Supreme Council of Muslim Theologians of Sri Lanka and trustees of mosques in Colombo and the suburbs last evening after prayer at the Colombo Grand Mosque. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
At People's Bank, we empower your pride. People's Bank, pride of the nation.
Continuing with more local news, the world's first cinnamon museum was recently inaugurated at the Mirissa Hills Estate in Heenwalla, Mirissa, promising an impressive journey into the fascinating history, production and symbolism of cinnamon. The museum was ceremoniously declared open last week in the presence of the Minister for Tourism, Harin Fernando, and Chairman of Mirissa Hills, Mels Young. From its ancient roots in Egyptian embalming rituals to its modern-day applications in the cuisines and medicine, the museum offers visitors a unique opportunity to delve into the regions of cinnamon, bridging the gap between its production and consumption. The Ministry of Education announced the first phase of the first term for the academic year 2024 for all government and government-approved Sinhala and Tamil private schools to end today. Accordingly, the second phase of the first school term will commence on 24th of April. Meanwhile, the second phase of the first school term of Muslim schools will begin on 17th of April. That ends local news.
You have got a transfer. That's all right, sir. They are all our children.
Right decisions with noble intentions bring pride. At People's Bank, we empower your pride.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Following customs and traditions, the Nakat Setu, the table of auspicious times for this year's Sinhala and Tamil New Year, was presented to President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat today. The table of auspicious times, duly prepared by the State Astrologers Committee of the Department of Cultural Affairs, was presented to the President. Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Vidura Vikramanayake, presented the Nakat Setu to the President in accordance with traditional customs. Auspicious periods comprise of various timings such as the New Year's Eve, Punya Kale or inauspicious timing for cooking, working, eating, anointing, setting off for work and more. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Watch Live is brought to you by
CIB New Year offer. Valuable gifts and gift vouchers. 25% discount for bank cards till 10th of April. Visit CIB today. CIB revives once always. The government has urged the members of the public to exercise caution and minimize road accidents and fireworks-related incidents during the upcoming Sinhala and Tamil New Year season. Reports indicate that a significant number of accidents take place during the festive period and approximately 36% are attributed to the use of fireworks. In addition, 17% of eye injuries reported during this time are also due to the use of firecrackers and fireworks, according to the government. In response to these concerns, the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Health have collaborated on a special program aimed at raising awareness and reducing incidents of road accidents and firework-related injuries during the festive season. That ends Watch Light. CIB New Year offer. Valuable gifts and gift vouchers. 25% discount for bank cards till 10th of April. Visit CIB today. CIB revives once always.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines first. Russia, Kazakhstan evacuate over 100,000 people amid worst flooding in decades. Australia hints it could recognize Palestinian state. BBC splits news operation in India. World news in detail. Russia and Kazakhstan ordered more than 100,000 people to evacuate out of swiftly melting snow swelled mighty rivers beyond the bursting point in the worst flooding in the area for at least 70 years. The deluge of melt water overwhelmed across the settlements in the Ural Mountains, Siberia and areas of Kazakhstan close to rivers such as the Ural and Tobol, which local officials said had risen by meters in a matter of hours to the highest levels ever recorded. The Ural River, Europe's third largest, which flows through Russia and Kazakhstan into the Caspian, burst through an embankment dam on Friday, flooding the city of Orsk just south of the Ural Mountains. Australia's foreign minister has suggested the country could recognize Palestinian statehood to increase momentum towards peace. However, Hamas could have no role in its governance, Penning Wong said. Both Australia's opposition and the Zionist Federation of Australia say such a move would be premature. Canberra has long said that recognition of the Palestinian nation could only come as part of the two-state solution brokered with Israel. But Ms. Wong's comments echo a speech by UK Foreign Secretary David Cameron earlier this year, in which he hinted the UK too could recognize Palestinian statehood without the support of Israel. The BBC in India will separate in two from Wednesday as it seeks to meet the country's foreign investment rules. The BBC will retain its news gathering team in India for its English language digital television and radio outlets headquarters in London. A new independent Indian-owned company called the Collective Newsroom will now produce content for BBC's 6 other Indian language services. The move comes a year after BBC India's offices were searched by authorities. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Russia, Kazakhstan evacuate over 100,000 people aimed worst flooding in decades. Australia hints it could recognize Palestinian state. BBC splits news operation in India. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. The Hambantota International Port in a landmark move inaugurated its container transshipment service operated by the Mediterranean Shipping Company. MEMSC Ingrid made her maiden call at HIP on Tuesday, discharging a total of 500 plus TEUs of transshipment containers to be connected to a second carrier, MSC Sky 11, expected to make a port call on 16th of April. The first shipment of containers consigned to the regional multipurpose port on the east-west shipping route originated from the Rotterdam port and will reach its final destination, Dubai, via the second carrier. That ends development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Sri Lanka all-rounder Kamida Mendes and former captain Angela Matthews have progressed in the ICC Men's Test Player rankings after contributing to their team's 192-run victory in Chattogram that helped complete a 2-0 win in the ICC World Test Championship Series against Bangladesh. Kamida Mendes' scores of 92 not out and 9 have lifted him 18 places to 46th position in the batters list, while the 3-wicket haul in the second innings sees him gain 46 slots and reach 117th position among bowlers. That ends the sports news.
Go ekakthiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
AP Mother Mask last week inaugurated its brand new warehouse in Sri Lanka at Vattala, spread over 100,000 square feet. Present at the inauguration were Mask South Asia Managing Director Vikas Agrao, Mask Sri Lanka Head Biju Ravi, Aitken Spence PLC Deputy Chairman and Managing Director Dr. Parakrama Disanayaka and other leaders. This new facility is a testament to Mask's commitment to the providing integrated supply chain solutions, offering a strategic advantage for various global customs and local suppliers in the retail and lifestyle sector. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekakthiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news. Finance State Minister Ranjit Sembrapatia said if the country's economy improves by next year, there can be optimism regarding the import of vehicles. Addressing the media at an opening event in Demataguda, he said 13 billion rupees was paid additionally for the increase in state employee salaries. Accordingly, 107 billion rupees was paid for state employee salaries for the month of April. Meanwhile, the minister mentioned that the program of providing 10 kilograms of rice to 2.7 million families for the months of April and May will start on April 21st. State Minister Sinhala said that more than half of the total number of families in Sri Lanka are entitled to this subsidy. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
The showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the eastern and Uva provinces and in the Hambantota district. Showers or thunder showers will occur most places elsewhere over the island during night. Heavy showers about 100 mm are likely at some places in the western, central, Sabaragamu and southern provinces. On the apparent northward relative motion of the sun, it is going to be directly over the latitudes of Sri Lanka during 5th to 15th of April in this year. The nearest area of the Sri Lanka over which the sun is overhead tomorrow are Bathalangunduva, Madavachia, Horopatana and Trincomalee at about 12:11 noon. That ends with the report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. The President restricts foreign travel for government members as party gears up for presidential polls. Muslims world celebrates Ramadan today. The head of state affirms his commitment to empowering the people and fortifying the economy. World's first cinnamon museum unveiled in Sri Lanka. The first phase of first school term ends today. Foreign news, Russia and Kazakhstan evacuate over 100,000 people amid worst flooding in decades. Sports news, Camila Mendes and Angela Matthews move up in ICC men's test player rankings. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka. Back to my good friend and viewers, Romesh Peris.